Hello everyone, and welcome back to one of our live streams. I guess I should really be doing this with my best Vincent Price here, but I'm not an expert when it comes to trying to simulate that particular accent. We have a spooky flight, and the plate is PC6. Nah, not even. I'm not even going to try a kind of a thing like that. Let's see, live weather should be fine for Halloween flying. All right, we'll do that, Let's see here, live weather, let's see what it looks like. Oh, wow. Not bad. What I should do is I should tweak the date so that it's like a little bit more of a full moon kind of a thing like that. Hang on, can I get that moon? If I do that, as soon as I do it, it's going to get all broken. Let's see here. It's just going to move this out. Not even going to mess with it. So today we're going to have a pretty good live stream plan for you. We're going to be playing this over Romania. This is the state of Transylvania, which is awesome. Unfortunately, the Castle brand, which is what I really was hoping to see today, does not exist in Flight Sim. That disappoints me like you would not believe. But it should be a pretty straight flight. Flight time today, we're looking at right around 37 and 45 minutes, somewhere in there. It depends on how much time we spend in downtown Bucharest. And what I thought we'd do today to kind of have a little bit of fun is we'll be telling some ghost stories along the way. I was poking around online trying to find, what are some kind of classic airplane ghost stories, and I actually found an interesting collection of them. And of course, we'll take an opportunity to collect any ghost stories from yourselves as well. So let's go ahead and get this thing going here. I love this runway, by the way. The runway is less of a runway and more of a, a cow pasture, but I like stuff like this. It makes it a lot more fun. I'll go ahead and snap this sucker around in this direction. Whoa! I think I saw somebody a couple minutes ago who's operating. It looked to me like a pit, but unfortunately they kind of ate it over in the mountains, over on the western side here, but it's pretty good. All right, let's give everything the quick little wiggle, make sure it's working. How exactly is someone supposed to sit in this airplane? Like, I know from a 2D perspective it doesn't look too bad, but like the distance in VR from here, where my knees are, to this is ridiculously tiny. I don't think it would end well. Anyway, let's go ahead and pop those flaps to the takeoff position. This is definitely going to be a short takeoff and landing scenario here. Looks good to me. Everybody feels pretty good. Go ahead and give it some power, and we'll get this live stream going. Those of you joining us today, we are at Lima Romeo Tango Oscar. This is Aerodrome Pietrocacaruli. I cannot pronounce that at all. As usual, my accents are terrible, and my pronunciation of anything, including English, is pretty garbo. All right, got to keep that nose off the ground. In a moment, the wheel's going to start getting a little loose on me. Here it comes. Don't worry, I did the math. We can get clear. That's dangerous. Don't touch the flaps until you're clear of obstacles. There we go. Go ahead and drop those flaps. Pop down a notch. Go ahead and pop down another notch. I'm going to loosen up. This is a really cool plane, and I'm currently massively over-revving everything, but it's okay for the purposes of a video. I turned damage off this time, so we don't have to worry about that too much. All right, we're going to come swing over here and then kind of take a look at the valley, kind of get some interesting insights. Of course, like I said, we're flying over the state of Transylvania here, and it is just awesome. I'm already absolutely loving the fact that we've got kind of these old kind of roads with these just kind of fields that have come over plenty of times. Oh, wait, don't worry. I'll do a quick little circle. I got to go visit Castle Bran, or the lack of Castle Bran is really what I should say right there. But looking around this terrain, like, hang on a second. We got to do it right. We got to do it right. What? Yeah, like you're going to see any of that. Let's get a little bit more evening here. Yeah, make it nice and spooky. Oh, yes. So I can just imagine that, with all these electric lights burning, you go back half a century, how would everything look the same, or how would everything look kind of different? And it's just like these little villages, like we just don't have anything like these villages that they have in Europe and the US. We definitely have small towns in the middle of the mountains. Don't let anyone kid you or anything like that. But this is just, I don't know, something kind of special. And especially when we head over to the valley kind of a thing at such a moment here. We have somebody in a Diamond 40 catching up with us. I'll give them a moment here. I think that's a Toro. And then we'll come swing towards the Castle Bran, and like I said, be a little disappointed here. All right, nice. Now, one of the interesting things is I actually looked over our historical stuff on live streams, and I'll have a video coming out, probably not next week, but pretty soon. We'll be talking about some of the data I've collected from the different live streams we've been around the world, for how many people viewed something, how much entertainment did it get, where am I flying, what airplanes am I flying. So that should be a really kind of fun video that'll be coming out a little later on. Up I say. Up! Turn the lights up! There we go. Now I can almost see. All right, so let's head on over to the Castle Bran here. I'm going to go ahead and snap back to a time of day where I can actually make some things out here. There we go. Actually, we could probably go the other way. there. Isn't it interesting? Right there. That looks perfect to me. Cool. So the Castle Bran, for those of you not familiar with it, is the classic Dracula's castle. If you have a Google image search handy, maybe you have your phone with you. If you type in Castle Bran, you go, oh my god, it's that castle. It literally should be right there. So unfortunately for us sitting here and enjoying this, they have not modeled it at this time. So we have to just kind of use our imagination. But if you want to go back to, you know, the good old Dracula kind of days, this was the village. And it's just wild that they had something that I thought was just something they made up in Hollywood, but it's an actual building, like a real structure, and it's really, really cool. And I just thought it was kind of neat that they had all this kind of this nice little valley right here. What I'll do is I'll kind of snap myself out of this. And we'll make our way up to the top of this. Oh, it's 5 p.m. there. I don't know. Like I said, I don't mind the time, but I do want to be able to see. Oh, there it is. Yeah, I want to be able to see the terrain, though. I mean, I love the time of day here. It's definitely spooky. There we go. Nice. All right. Let's go ahead and spin back this way. I'm really not in the mood for smacking into a mountain today. One of my buddies always calls mountainous terrain cumulus granite, because, you know, you're cruising through the regular cumulus because it's foggy, and all of a sudden you encounter a much, much more solid cloud than you're used to there. I come swing this way. There we go. Like I said, I'm just kind of sucking everything out. This is so pretty. What a neat region. Now, the interesting thing you'll see here is as we move out of the mountains and we start moving towards Bucharest proper, down in the plains to the south of us, yes, the rain in the plains, you'll actually see it go from like all this kind of stuff, like you snap your fingers and all of a sudden it's going to just be flat. It's actually a really, really neat region depending on where we're flying here in Romania. I did a little bit of research about Romania when I was looking up some ideas for this video. It was actually pretty cool. This is a very well-to-do country, very, very modern. It's got a very, very interesting history of all sorts of different folks coming here. The one thing that I did miss, of course, was what their national dish is. So that's one of those things I have to go figure out now so that I can see if I can go prepare it. I can guess, and I'm sure somebody in the comments will get the national dish way faster than I can look it up at this time. This aircraft does not have an automatic pilot on it, so I have to kind of do things the old-fashioned way. Well, I'm looking at this valley here, and I'm feeling like we're not going to be able to get over it, so I'm actually going to come to the right just a tiny bit here. I love aircraft like this. It's so industrial. I mean, you see so many different airplanes over the years, and you know, different styles and how they have these fiberglass, you know, fancy bodies and pretty much everything under the sun, making them very, very efficient aircraft. And then you get something like this, where I have a metal bar that I'm gonna hit my knee on. The handle is just whatever we found. The fuel switch is like a little click, click. Let's see here. I don't really have a door. My co-pilot sits away from me, has no controls. The back seat consists of a rubber floor. The shape of the aircraft itself is a box. I mean, you look at it, it's a box with a giant turboprop on it. I just like for this thing. A quick warning about AK fire and rocket-propelled grenades. I'm not so worried about that in Romania. Now, the nice thing about this region is it's been relatively quiet after the fall of the Iron Curtain back in 1989. A couple changes in leadership for sure, but in general, this has been a fairly safe region. Oh man, these forests are just incredible. Just imagine going like hiking through this. You know, it would take you days to get to the top and then hike back over to like, you know, your regular village and hotels and everything like that. I was swinging over to the right a little bit. Ooh, it's so orange. I love it so much. Now that's a nice shot right there. We've got a little kind of village on the top of this mountain, but it's like, and how do you intend to get to, look at this guy's house. How exactly do you get home each day? Like, I know this one's got a pretty distinctive little road kind of coming from it, which if we probably followed it, we could kind of come down into the valley here and find it. But seriously, imagine how amazingly awesome this road is at night with no lights. It's just a kind of a neat concept. All right, we're going to come swing this way, and we'll kind of make our way towards the plains. All right, ghost stories. All right, so we have a couple different ghost stories here. Like I said, I was poking around on the web a little bit, trying to find something that would be related to, you know, kind of aviation and ghosts. And there are definitely some stories that we've probably heard a couple different ways before. And there are definitely some stories that I'm like, you know. Then, of course, there's the original version, but then you check another website and discover that that ghost story has changed a little bit, or it evolves, and now something took place in Germany, now it takes place, you know, in Madagascar or something like that. It's all like kind of, it's all interesting, although one thing I'm going to change real fast. Oop, I'm not going to change that. That would be bad. Come on, flashlight. I need to find my switch. There we go. Sweet. All right, we did it. Myself a little bit of down trim, push the nose down. and I shall start making my way towards Bucharest. Now, like I was saying a few minutes ago, you get these really, really heavy-duty mountains, and then as soon as you pop out of the mountains a moment later, it's just plains. It's incredible how it's just like totally different terrain types, just like when you go to the United States. All right, spooky aviation stories. Here we go. All right, so the first spooky aviation story, and again, the source of these is a Simple Flying for those of you who want to check them out. I will embellish where I can. It's called The Girl on the Radio. So a few years back, I'm going to imagine doing a rough guesstimate, this is probably early 2000s or late 90s. There's a flight instructor who was on a final approach to the Orlando Executive Airport. Now, most likely flight instructor means we've got flight student too, so we have, kind of what you want to think. Suddenly on the emergency frequency, that's 121.5, for those of you who are looking for a little bit of trivia there, but most of you know that, suddenly heard a young woman's voice come on the radio going, hello, 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 kind of a thing, which of course freaked everybody out. They immediately got on the radio and said, yes, who are you? Everything kind of embellishing, kind of going back and forth, trying to get in contact, but it was just a hello, hello, on the emergency frequency. So, of course, they had landed the airplane successfully, and everything was fine. They went going around, seeing if anybody else was able to hear this transmission. Unfortunately, they couldn't find anybody else who heard this transmission. And more terrifyingly alone, there was actually a plane crash involving a young woman who had stolen an airplane a month earlier. Interesting concept, but like I said, I like it. So the next one, of course, this one comes from, this is a crew, I believe this was an Airbus or a Boeing 737. It's called The Wrong Inputs. So in an ordinary working day, we had some pilots, of course, punching in some approach data into the FMS computer. Pushed a couple buttons, loaded up the approach, pressed the button, and all of a sudden on the bottom of the CDU, we don't have a CDU on this one. If you imagine, you want to see the little display down here on the right. A little thing kind of appeared on it that says, don't you wish you knew what this means? Now, the interesting thing there is they immediately showed the captain, looked at it and said, what the heck is this? Reloaded the approach, and the problem had gone away. Now, in my opinion, that particular story was probably a situation where somebody had found a bug in the FMS or typed something wrong, or they were reading the wrong display. I don't think we have ghosts involved, but it is kind of a fun one indeed. All right, let me go straighten out a little bit right here. Let's see, it looks good. Our next ghost story is a little different. This is called The Guest Passenger. So a well-known UK airline, I think you can guess probably what UK airline we're dealing with in this particular case. I don't know, use your imagination. Cabin crew was approached by an elderly man in the galley who walked up to him. He says, would you be so kind as to pass this message on to a person in the cabin? So, of course, the crew said, sure, no problem. So they went down and went over to the lady, handed her the message. She read the message and looked very, very upset and confused. Moments later, she went to her bag and pulled out a little photograph and showed the cabin crew and says, was this the person who gave you the note? And the cabin crew confirmed it. The interesting thing there is the person who they confirmed had been dead and was actually being carried in the cargo hold of the plane. Kind of cool, kind of spooky, not gonna lie. Next one is kind of fun. This is always classically, terrifyingly classic. This one's called The Newlyweds. We have a couple who just started a honeymoon in Europe. They're just kind of doing their little piece there. And the husband had a really, really severe heart attack and died, unfortunately. You can imagine how rough of a honeymoon that would have been. So, of course, the coffin went sent back to Florida, they thought. But when the wife was on the flight, on the coffin, that was brought back to Florida as well. Apparently, the husband was not. When they went to go to the cargo hold of the airplane, they couldn't find the coffin or the husband, even though it was that flight that they sent it. I know the class joke about lost luggage and everything, but this is getting a little extreme. So it took about 5 days to find this coffin when it appeared back at the couple's local airport. Now, the best part about this story was the fact that when they found the coffin with all the appropriate markings on it, the body of the husband was no longer in the coffin, and they never found it. That's terrifying. Next one is a classic story of an old Boeing 737. So again, another low-cost UK airline. I think this seems to be a trend here. It must be something about the old Europe or something. I'll let you use your imagination on that one. Was well known for call bells going off in the middle of the night, strange shadows and sightings in the galley, cupboards would open randomly, lavatories would flush toilets, there was strange smell. Well, it's an airplane, it's going to have strange smells, and unexplained drops in temperature. So they did a bunch of research onto this plane and tried to figure out why was this plane always having having these issues. And what they had discovered is the airplane itself had been hijacked in the 1970s, and the airline captain was shot and killed on board. Apparently, the captain loved his job and refused to leave the 737. The issues did not go away until they ended up scrapping the airplane. And the last one, this is Flight 401. For those of you who know Flight 401, this is apparently one of the most classic airline ghosts. And I don't know, it's... Sometimes I wonder. So the flight crew of Eastern Airlines Flight 401, which tragically crashed into the Florida Everglades back in '72. The accident, of course, a lot of unknown things. It was terrible. And what they ended up doing is where it crashed, there was enough components of the aircraft that they were actually able to go back and salvage a significant amount of it so they could reuse it like in other pieces, like the galley and things like that. So for any of the aircraft that received the components of this crashed airplane, weird things started happening on the airplane. Now, in one case, they found that they saw captain sightings. You'd have the janitor or the person cleaning. You turn around and say, "Oh, the captain's on board the plane." The captain hasn't arrived at the airport yet. And of course, that would freak everybody out. And then we had the flight engineer every once in a while appearing in the galleys. Sometimes in the lockers, you have reflections. I think there was a classic, if you look on another side of this one, where you had the flight attendant who was actually, looking at the reflection of the microwave, and they saw the captain's face looking back at them, causing them to panic. And one of the things they found is every once in a while, there was an interesting situation, actually, an extension of that, where one of the ghosts had told the captain, or I should call them one of the galley crew, I should say the pursers, depending where you are, that there was a danger of a fire with the aircraft. So the most incredible thing ever is during that particular flight, they noticed an anomaly in the engine itself. So they went into it and started working with it, and were able to catch it because, the flight attendant had brought something up. And right after they landed, they had just prevented the engine from catching fire. So it was kind of the captain or flight engineer's kind of last little help there before they eventually scrapped the plane and removed all the pieces from all those other aircraft as well. It's all really, really cool kind of stuff. Like I said, kind of neat. My ghost stories, of course, I don't have anything terribly exciting. I've had more than enough cases of things that I can't explain in the world, which I always find kind of, typical, scientific phenomena. You'd have a dream about something, and then it would end up happening. That happens to me, I swear, once every 2 weeks. The first real ghost I think I personally ever encountered was when I was 6 or 7 years old, and I had this house. We had just moved from Baltimore, Maryland, up to Bel Air, Maryland. I say Bel Air, and everybody assumes California. It's no, there are Bel Airs on both coasts. So when we just moved into this house, it was really, really, like a small, kind of like a cape house, had a really neat basement. My brother and I used to sit in cardboard boxes and ride down the stairs of the basement because they were carpeted, and it was just a lot of fun. But that's a completely unrelated issue, and probably explains all the, the physical difficulties I struggle with today. But anyway, one of the things is Dad, of course, would always work. Mom was home with us, kind of taking care of things. I think she was off in the kitchen, which was on kind of I call it the left side of the house if you look at the front. But one of the things is I was coming out of my room, which was on the far, far right side of the house. And, I heard a sound from my brother's room. I think my brother was like my cousins or something that day. My brother was very young at that point. And I come in and I see, I swear, still to this day, I saw a person sitting in my brother's little kind of wicker rocking chair kind of a thing. In completely 100%, I believe it. I thought it was Dad. I look back from my mind's eye, I can still see that person in that chair. You kind of rub your eyes real quick. The person's gone, but most terrifyingly enough, of course, the chair rocked just a teeny tiny bit. And I don't know how my 7-year-old mind didn't explode on the spot, because it was one of those situations where it's what? Now, the interesting thing is we never had any other issues with the house. Nobody ever saw anything. And really, I didn't tell a lot of people about that because it's oh, you're a little kid. You just have an imagination. But, man, that imagination was really acute. I don't care what anybody says. So I ask my audience now, as I kind of realign, I have to concentrate on flying the plane. Incredibly, I have not touched the trim for about 3 minutes, and the airplane's still pretty stable. What a great box of a plane this thing is. So do you folks have any fun ghost stories? If you want to go toss them over in the chat, that would be awesome. I know it's going to take a second for everybody to kind of type that out. While we're doing that and kind of waiting out, let's see who's joined us today. And it looks like we have a fantastic turnout. Toro, welcome back. Castillo, welcome back. Blue Dog, welcome back. Simon, welcome back. Ted, welcome back. Brian, welcome back. Notify, welcome back. Elastic Sack, welcome back. And I'm guessing this is Laugh-O-Rog. If I had to guess, this is Laugh-O-Rog right here. Not too bad. Again, welcome back. So we'll be making our way downtown now. Now, one of the fun things if you want to deal with ghost stories, always look into living in a house that just has wood floors, especially if you have the old style heat where you basically boiled all the water and pumped it around radiators in the house. That is a great way. Lafarog is just way too good at us flying on me. Now, the interesting one there, I've already told this story, but my flying buddy Butternips there, how many times I've crashed into him because I didn't realize he was behind me. He'd be like right here and his wingtip would be over like right here. And I'd be like, gotta turn, clunk, whoops. And we both lose our wings and have to eject. Speaking of ejections, by the way, there is a footage, if you want to dig it up online, of a Russian pilot ejecting from a Sukhoi 25. And it's an all-head cam camera, which I got a lot of questions about why you were taping yourself crashing, especially because you're a military pilot, but I'm not going to deal with that side of things. But if you look it up, it's fascinating. I've never seen somebody eject from like actual live footage before. Usually you see people from the side. Uh-oh. That's, no. I like how it's like high-low pressure. Let's fix it. Click. Reset. Okay, fine, be that way. Oh, well. I'm going to swing to my left a little bit here. This is a great time to go flying. I need a little more full moon here. Now, apparently, we've flown on October 31st twice before. This is one of the few times that we're not flying on October 31st. And like I said, this would just be kind of a fun one. One great thing about these nice places at night is you can literally follow the highways and get to Bucharest here, which is going to be very, very clear. I'm not sure, what are we doing? 6,500? That seems like a pretty good altitude. Let's see what we got for power here. Just going to go through kind of some of the motions here. I love the trim on this plane. I'm literally not using autopilot. I'm steering with my feet. I don't even have my hands on the stick. What a great airplane. Look at that. I promised 120. We're doing 120 indicator. Newer person. The best way to pick me up would be Lomeo. That's not a word. Lima Romeo Papa Whiskey. If you want to kind of meet us in Bucharest, then you could probably do Lima. There we go again. Lima Romeo Oscar Papa. You'll be able to pick us up, no problem. I think somebody is mentioning we have some stuff from Phasmophobia here. What do you want me to bring? EDF red or salt? Well, if we're going to do this with Phasmophobia, then freezing temps would definitely be a concern because we're in an airplane. I think we couldn't really use the sound sensor because if we tried to use the sound sensor from Phasmophobia, I think we just get the propeller. I guess EMF would work, definitely. We could try ghost orbs with a camera. I'm sure that's something we could check for. Let's see what else we have that we could use. We have the dots projector, but if you use the dots projector in here, I'm not going to be able to read the instruments. So I guess we've got to be careful with that one. And I'm forgetting one of the other items. I guess we could use one of the cursed objects, like, play the little music box and see if the ghost starts singing to us in the airplane. That would be absolutely positively terrifying, but still entertaining in its own way. There we go. Now we're at the correct altitude. It's not, though. It's just a great plane. Like I was saying, I have a little bit of right foot, like you can see how this one's a little bit in, but that's literally as much flying as I have. There's no autopilot on this plane anywhere to be found. It's just that good. Also, Lafarog, you suggesting I don't fly stable on other days, which is completely correct. It's true. So we're going to be doing, for our approach here, we're getting pretty close, actually, and not too far off from our destination. I think I got about 16 minutes here. So we're going to be hitting downtown Bucharest here. And then what we're going to do from downtown Bucharest is we're basically going to pull straight east, and we're going to come take a look at some of the sites there. There's a lot of really, really neat things downtown. And then what we'll do is we'll go land. There's a really, really nasty, extremely dangerous grass strip right next to a lake, so you know exactly how that's going. A newer person asked, what is your flight plan? Which plane do you recommend for the standard edition? Whoa, that's an excellent question. Any plane that will do 120 knots is going to be your choice. Off the top of my head, you can do this in the 172 if you wanted. The Cirrus 22 is a great... Actually, I think the Cirrus 22 isn't standard. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head. The Pitts 2S, that could be a lot of fun. The Beech D36 will do it. The Diamond 40 will do it, but you'll be a little slow. The Diamond 62 will do it. That'll be plenty fast enough. I wouldn't do the TBM or the 208, although the 208 can definitely keep up, no problem. The only issue with the 208 is you're going to be throttling down just a little bit. Yes. Thank you, AB Photos, for that touch. Great turnout today. Fantastic. I love it. I'm swinging to the left a little bit here. Man, this is a stable plane. I've lost a couple feet here, so I'm just about to violate your, what do you call, practical test standards. But then again, it could have been a pressure change. And what I've learned from flying in the real world is the fact that this changes all the time, even if the plane is perfectly level. One of my favorite flights, if you look at the what do you want to call it, the vertical profile of the flight. Even though the autopilot was on the entire time, it looks like I basically was going down a bumpy road because of how often that changes. It's just, like I said, the real world is so amazing. All right, here. Let's go ahead. I think we can just about start to make out downtown now. So I'm just trying to take a look. Like, Bucharest is a huge city. Like, one of the things I was doing recently is an X-Plane 12 was actually kind of flying around the city, trying to get a feel for everything here. And I was so impressed with just, it's so much bigger than you think it is here. A group glider flight, live weather. Oh my gosh, Torodon, I'd love to. So we have some good news. Actually, Toro, you bring up an excellent point. We're going to be getting the new update really, really soon. I think it's on November 11th, which conveniently is Singles Day, 1111. And actually, well, it's not 2011, so sorry. 111, good enough. So what we're going to be doing there on that day is when they do have the update, we'll probably be flying. I think it's that afternoon or the following day we're going to be flying. And assuming everything works, I would love to do the right flyer. Because what better way to cause a lot of mayhem in the sky than with a bunch of right flyers? Obviously, if we're going to do right flyers, we have to make sure that we crank our fuel as high as it goes, number one. We crank our weight as low as it goes, and we fly in basically 10-degree temperatures. Again, for in Celsius, we're probably fine. For in Fahrenheit, 10 degrees, probably a little cold, but we're going to need all the help we can get to be stable. On the flip side, this is flight sim, so it shouldn't be too bad. All right, let's take a look at my estimations here. So I have 6,400 feet here, 64, 65. 65 would be 13 minutes. So we need to descend in 1 minute, which isn't too bad at all. Of course, we don't need to go down that low. We just need to go low enough to absolutely terrify the locals. So fun things in real-world flying is I'm going to be getting the opportunity to get checked out on a complex aircraft on next Friday. So actually the upcoming Friday, I should say. So it's going to be super fun because I love retractable landing gear in the games. They're just like click, whatever. In the real plane, when you flip them and they make noise and they shake the plane and they're like really loud. And when you put them down, you can think they're not going to go down. It's so different in the real world than it is in the sim here, but we'll kind of deal with it. All right, so here comes the bet. So right now I'm pushing 350 torque units here, which is pretty good. So how many torque units is it going to take to get 500 feet per minute? Ooh, let's see, 350. I got to do the division. That's going to be, I'm going to say 320. We'll see what it does here. So I'm going to go right to this line right here and see how close to 500 feet per minute I can get on my estimate here. 13 minutes. Let's do it. That should be right about here. Right there. 320. AB Photos, complex is retractable landing gear, controllable pitch propeller, and you have to have flaps. That's what makes something a complex. So it's actually going to be on a Mooney 20, which is a lot of fun. There is no Mooney 20. Like the Mooney 20 that I'll be flying is not the Mooney 20 that they have from Carnado right now, which is kind of a shame. All right, so how are we doing here? I said 320. Turns out I needed about twice that much. We'll do 300. Let's try 300 torques. Sorry, Antonio. And it's a turboprop plane, too. Yep. Oh, I've already got my high-performance certification, which was super fun. The big difference between again, this is real world versus a simulator world here, is in the real world, when you're dealing with a high-performance airplane, it really is a different thing. Even though, the plane is heavier, that's not what throws you. What throws you is the fact that when you come down here and you start pushing buttons on all these handles here, everything is completely just different. Crank this up a little bit. You would never crank it up this bright. Hey. Oh. Okay. So if I do Alt-L, you have to be careful what button you press here. That's fine. Okay. Alt-L shut off. Sweet. We have the PC-6 today. That's the aircraft that I chose to go with. Like I said, I love planes like this. Like a Cirrus is amazing. A Diamond is amazing. Even the new 172s are incredible. But give me boxy any day. I love it. Antonio caught the reference. For those of you who have not met Antonio before, he does turboprop and turbo shaft maintenance. So he is our turbo guy. This is a classic example of a turboprop too. And what I love about this plane, well, we have to get it in there somewhere. Well, we just have to make the tail get a little heavier in order to compensate for this gigantic piece of metal that's basically hanging off the front here. How we doing? We're still a little fast. I really thought 320 would do it. This plane just wants to fly today. Try about 280. It's not too bad. Kevin says he thought he was going to fly today. Too late to set up. Missed the beginning? Oh, yeah, like I said, yep, PC6. Now, the incredible thing is we almost didn't fly at all today. The reason being is on Wednesday, I came down with like the absolute worst sinus infection. It was like a light switch. I went from happy days to useless in 15 minutes. It was incredible. We are landing at Lima, Romeo, Charlie, Oscar. So it's actually going to be off to the west. The reason we're doing that is, like I said, I'm going to go downtown. And as you can see, as we're starting to get closer, you can start to see in the beltways. When we get downtown, there's a very, very neat kind of a couple buildings here. And like I said, it's a shame we're not doing this over in X-Plane, because they have helicopters. And in the helicopters, we go, wee, do all sorts of stupid stuff downtown, which I pinky promise we will be doing in Los Angeles at some point once we do have helicopters. And somebody was also mentioning doing gliders, which I think is a great idea. The thing with gliders is I actually know somebody who is a glider flight instructor. So it might be kind of a fun thing to go borrow them. I'm sure they'll be more than willing, but you know exactly how that goes. All right, let's make sure I'm properly lit up here. I don't want to make any mistakes. That's all. Oh, I never shut that off. Whoopsies. That's fine. Oh. You know it's nice when you have a fan in the cockpit? So, funny story about those fans, by the way, while I'm kind of sinking here as I'm kind of lining up. Yeah, Larat, by the way, is right over here. That's going to be this large airport right here. Like I said, I do want to go downtown real fast. Originally, we were landing here, but like I said, we're at Bucharest, and it's a beautiful city, so let's check it out. Oh, every city, by the way, gotta have the river running through the middle of it. Anybody who's ever played any of the Civilization games knows exactly why you want the river going through your capital city. Just kind of one of those things. And that is mercilessly too bright. Oh my gosh. Seriously. There we go. Yeah, gliders are amazing. I think the most impressive thing I found about flying gliders in the real world is how quiet it is. I found the exact same thing, by the way, from skydiving. But like I said, they are very, very neat. And the whole concept of being able to catch lift off something and just fly all day without having an engine, it hurts my brain every single time I think about it. But the math makes sense. So it's actually pretty cool. Like I said, I'm very, very much looking forward to helicopters coming out. I'll probably put together an entire series dedicated to helicopters because they were the reason I started getting into flying in the first place. It doesn't mean I'm any good at them, but you know, I know my way around them and I understand the concept pretty well. One of the fun ones I always think of with helicopters is I do quite a bit of DCS with my buddies. What flight controls do you use? I have a VKB gunfighter with, I think it's the 100mm extension. And I have a Virpil throttle and a Virpil control panel too. I also, for the pedals on the floor, I can't see them because I'm using them right now. They're the ones that VKB do. They have their own set of pedals that work really, really well. So, like I was saying, I like to fly helicopters in DCS with my good flying buddy again. The same one I always crash into, by the way. I'm blaming the accident on the runway on him because he didn't get off the runway fast enough when I was coming for a landing. I couldn't see him. But one of the fun things with the helicopters is usually a lot of those are two-seaters. You know, you have somebody who flies, you have somebody who operates, you know, the CPG, or like in the case of the Hind, you also have somebody in the front seat, just like you do in the Apache. But, you know, I take pride in my hovering skills. So what my buddy will do is he'll say, you know, it would be a shame if, this is a really, really nice hover. It would be a shame if somebody fired the cannon. So, of course, he does this in the whole helicopter, bop, 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 like this. And it's like, So if you think you're a good hoverist, try doing it when somebody's firing a 30mm cannon that's offset to the cockpit to do it. Favorite skydiving, pulling both up and sitting, yeah. Oh, that's right. The brand new Turtle Beach is out. For those of you, thank you for bringing that up, AV Photos. So Turtle Beach released a joystick. And it's a really interesting little piece of machinery. I was looking at it, but that's not... it's cool, but I like what I have better. But the joystick I really, 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 really want right now is the Wing company just released a new fighter stick that's force sensitive. Now, for those of you not familiar with force sensitive joysticks, oh my God. So on this, as if you could see this thing right now. So when I move the stick on this, do you see how the whole stick moves to actually move the controls? On an F-16 or an F-22, the stick doesn't move. Instead, what it does is it senses the pressure on the joystick in order to maneuver the controls. So instead of using distance to control power or G-forces, you're using force directly. So if I want to go from 0 to a 360-degree circle in a moment, I just put a few, not that much pressure on the left side of the joystick, and the whole F-16 snaps around. It's one of the coolest little things that I've seen. I got to lose a bit of altitude. We're not going to be able to see downtown here. I love these things. The nose is just going to sink on us. What an awesome... I love the orange, by the way. Whoa, new portion. Oh, that's Lafarog, isn't it? I don't know how he does this. If he does not have track IR, I will be disappointed, because I can't fly like that without it. That's an awesome picture, by the way. I love how he's got no lights, too. Nice going, Lafarog. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to visit downtown Bucharest real fast. Like I said, I could not believe how big this city is. I knew it was a big city, but you don't realize how big of a city it is until you try to fly a helicopter across it. Then you go, wow. The Velocity 1 rudder. Oh, somebody else is asking. One of the things, yeah. Like I said, helicopters are amazing. Just one of these days I'll buy myself a collective. I'm just not thrilled with the idea of something I can't use all the time, like I can all my other flight controls. I guess you could use a collective as a throttle, but that would be a little weird. But the big problem with the collectives, of course, is they're just too expensive. I think the cheapest collective that is a nice one is like $500. So I don't know. I don't know. I'm trying to save all the YouTube money so I can fly in the real world. That's a lot. All right, so one of the most scandalous things I've done in a long time is I actually enable point of interests in Flight Sim. I feel so naughty for doing this, but the fact of the matter is I keep flying by things and not realizing what they are. So I said, hey, why not? So I went ahead and turned them on anyway. It's actually kind of cool. It's so dirty, but I kind of like having them now. It's just one of those things. It's like, oh, what's that thing over there? And then you turn your head and it's a bunch of giraffes or something like that. I don't know. I just love stuff like that. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to pass by the Parliament building here, and we're going to take a right and kind of fly over to our destination, which I will turn daytime on again for, on account of the fact that there's no way we're going to be able to see it during the night. We could go fly into the international airport, but take a look at this city. Isn't this incredible? It's just, there's so much here. Like I said, I'm so impressed. I just didn't realize how big it was. Yeah, so for people who are interested in hardware, I was actually thinking about putting together a video basically talking about hardware. It's not really my thing, but I guess I have an opinion on it because I've had a couple different devices over the years. And at the end of the day, it's what works for you. I'm going to say that a lot, but it's good. It's good. There's a lot of really, really nice things at the Diamond 40. You have the right idea, newer person. Great choice. All right, let's go say hi to Parliament here. Just amazed at the density. It's one thing Flight Sim has right. Eventually we'll have a combat Flight Sim. Now the real question is, why'd the Parliament building shut all its lights off? I'm gonna go turn our daytime back on here. That is so pretty out there. Oh, blinding. There we go. Just want to see. Look at how cool that building is. Pretty big too. I would not want to have to try to get parking though. I have a feeling there's not nearly enough spots for a building that large. That is so cool. All right, let's head up to our landing here. All right, swing this way, and we're basically going to head outside of town here. Nice. So just a quick comment on hardware. Politicians don't work like, oh. See, the good joke in our universe, at least in English in the United States, is, pro is the opposite of con. So what is the opposite of Congress? I think you can finish the joke there, but it's just kind of one of those things. It's like, the other one I always love is in History of the World, Part 1. They have a great comment where they said, oh, yes, the Roman Senate is the best Senate that money can buy. It's just like, wait. So this little grass strip we're going to be landing on today is going to be right on the outside of a lake. I'm actually going to get myself up to pattern altitude here. We might as well fly things properly. Absolutely, I totally agree. Someone made a comment about the smokestacks and Coca-Cola billboards with the Blade Runner music. The Vangelis playing. That's like flying around Los Angeles. Oh my gosh, now we've got a video. Let's do Los Angeles at night in hover cars. I don't think we have hover cars yet, but we do have that Velocity, which I cannot fly to save my life here because I have a joystick that has such strong forces on it. So if you try to fly the helicopter by tipping your control forward for any length of time, your arm's going to fall off. Just kind of one of those things. All right, swing to this way just a little tiny bit. There's the lake. I guarantee you this aircraft will be at the bottom of the lake before the evening's out, or the afternoon's out. TCAS off. To my left just a tiny bit. Pull the throttle back a little bit. We're getting pretty darn close here. What a great flight. Fantastic turnout, as always. The reason I continue doing these live streams is because I love the attention. No, the reality is they're just fun to do. And it's super fun to see that I get to share my hobby with everybody else as well. Like I said, I was looking over the data for our past live streams. The most popular live stream of all times was the first one at 14,000 views. It's just kind of one of those things where it's like, oh, wow. That was what just happened. Let's see. Flight Simulator came out. Love stuff like that. All right, let's see who can find this first. This is definitely going to be a process. I think my GPS said it was right off the right there. About 2 minutes. 2 minutes, not bad. And just kind of come in this one. No, but I really do enjoy sharing my hobby. I think it's super fun, and I'm glad there's so many other people out there who will also enjoy it. Like I said, there's not enough of us. I think I love how it's a break from other types of games. It's not to say I don't like other games, as I mentioned earlier, like with Phasmophobia and stuff like that. Super duper duper entertaining. Like the entire game exists to make people scream. I'm convinced. Nothing wrong with that. Or like, your Modern Warfares and like you like to play Borderlands and things like that. But Flight Sim has always been, it's just, I don't know. I really enjoy it. I really enjoy it. It's just relaxing. It's challenging in its own way. I like the fact there are no goals in Flight Sim. It's very, very open-ended. You have to decide exactly what you want to work at. And the big thing, too, is even when think you're perfect, you still make little mistakes. Like, I think in the real world, hey, I can see that this time. I think when I fly in the real world, it's like one of those things where a mistake will cost your life. But at the end of the day I'm not proud of every single landing I make. I remember when I was working with flight instructors and they say, that's about average. And then they would demonstrate a landing and you'd be like, oh, I guess that is about average. So it's just kind of one of those things where, you can be your own critic. Obviously, don't break the plane. But at the same token it's just interesting. And I love it. Every landing's a little different. So no matter how carefully I try to put this thing on that grass, I guarantee you we're going to get a little extra air here. Approach speed, by the way, is 78 knots for anybody who's looking up. Look at that. They actually have markers. You guys are way too nice for me. We will try to use all planes' lights to land in the dark. Good luck, Torodon. I'm not landing on grass at nighttime. That is a no for me. Incredibly, I have no scary aviation stories for us. It's been very safe flying the last few weeks. So that's good. Like I said, we'll be getting the complex rating pretty soon. I'm very excited about that. It's just neat. It's just really, really neat to get a little bit better flying. It changes the way you fly in the sim too. And I can't recommend enough to get a training flight out there at one point. Uh-oh, somebody's having fun with the tractor. All right, flaps 1. Gas undercarriage makes sure propeller flaps light speed. Let's do it. I think I just got ghosted. All right, swing to the left here. Left base for runway 6. Now, one of the things I love about this airplane is the tires are gigantic. Look out the window. They're huge. Look at how tall the shock absorbers are. The other thing I like is, oh, yeah, right. We always come back, though. We always come back. I can't get over this aircraft, though, that it's a tail dragger. A tail dragger with a turboprop. Ah! It reminds me of an air tractor or something like that. Simon's already on the ground. Nicely done. Oh, man. This is so dangerous. Please do not take turns in the real world at this speed, because you will end up stalling the plane and crashing. All right, flaps down. Power out. All right, 78 knots is our approach speed. We're getting a little slow. Love turboprops. Oh, crosswind again. So when I was first learning to fly, you had a crosswind once every 10 flights. Now that I fly in the real world all the time on my own, you have a crosswind once every flight, I swear. Here's another thing I learned about tail draggers. Don't touch the brakes. Oh, yeah. There it is. Not bad. Not bad at all. We shall join up. We'll say this little building right here looks pretty cool. I gotta go adjust the lighting a little bit while everybody kind of finds them. What a great plane. Love this thing. There we go. Sweet. If everyone wants to join me for a photo, I'll get the lighting all pretty. When the lighting is pretty. Kind of like that orange that you get, but I'll wait until everybody gets caught up here. Let me go come forward just a tiny bit here. There we go. Whoop! In the middle of the runway. As always, at the end of these videos, I always like to check if there's anybody who has any questions or comments. Is there any videos that you'd like to see? Like I said, I'm always looking for ideas. We have some, it's going to be a quiet week, not going to lie, coming up. I got a couple neat little things in the future, but we're going to take a little while to actually be able to see those. Like I said, it's just stuff that school's been very, very busy and work's been very, very busy. And I've got another kind of interesting side hustle that I've been working on that's been sucking down quite a bit of my time there. So, like I said, I will continue to produce. Look at all the flashing lights. That's so awesome. Kind of wish I had a full, oh my God, look at the full moon. I know you have 2 different times for streaming. I was wondering if you could make those U.S. flights 1 to 2 hours earlier so the Europeans don't have to wait until 1 a.m. Could you be more specific, Tordon? I know that I tried to do one for each. Yeah, really. All right, I've got ourselves a great photo. Awesome. Let's go do some damage to this airplane. So for the evening flights, it's going to be kind of difficult to do it earlier, if that makes sense, because that's kind of our prime dinner time. The other thing, too, is the reason I did the 2 different time slots is really for the folks in the U.S. or the West, our part side of things, it's much more easier to do something at like kind of 8 o'clock in the evening. For the folks in Europe, this is why I do it at 11. 11 is a really weird time of day to do a live stream. The only reason I do it is so those folks are kind of closer to kind of their prime time as well. Where do you post the photos that you take? Oh, so that's an excellent question. So the photos I always take during these flights, I replace the graphic for the actual live stream. You know, it shows you a little preview graphic with the photo. So I've done that as long as we go. So if you actually look at all my past live streams, you can see all the different photos of everybody sitting there ready to go at the end. It's always kind of fun. All right, what should we do to this plane here? Oh, I got an idea. I got an idea. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Here we go. I'm waiting for the meep. It's coming. There it is. Oh, yeah, there it is. Look at how slow I'm going. Wait for it. Wait, I'm doing 30 degrees nose up right now, and I'm still not stalled. Look at this thing. Oh, my gosh. I'm still not stalled. What on earth? 28, 29 degrees. I am so impressed. 11 of them U.S. time, please. Yeah, absolutely, Torodon. Oh, there it is. Yeah, there it is. Okay, here we go. Ready? Pull back. All right, folks, have a wonderful, spooky, happy Halloween, and we look forward to seeing you in a couple weeks. Hopefully, when the new update comes out, we'll get the opportunity to do this and write flyers.